All right, welcome back into the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920. The Jersey to call and hang with us, 609-919-9200. You all know what happened last night. The Cleveland Cavaliers captured their first NBA championship, and locally, Thursday is the big NBA draft, and the Sixers will be in that number one slot. Now joining us on the hotline is a college basketball analyst for ESPN and a former college basketball coach, and that is the great Seth Greenberg. Seth, what's happening, my man?
I've got a good ring to it, the Zach Gelb Show. I mean, it's got a nice ring.
It definitely does.
That's big. I mean, you roll right out of graduation. You got your own show. You're in South Jersey. I mean, you're big, literally and figuratively.
Well, that's absolutely right. And you know my size because you follow me on Twitter, so you can see my pictures. And then you've also met me in person. And I'll say this, my colleagues saw the tweet that you sent out, which was very nice, and I appreciate you doing that. And they asked me how much I'm paying you, and I told them nothing. They were surprised.
Come on, you're my guy. Come on now, let's face it. I mean, I knew you back when you were in high school. This is you started your career when I got whacked at Virginia Tech, and I started this stuff. So, hey, I am so happy for you. You've done a great job. You work your tail off, and you're good with people, and you're going to do great.
Well, I appreciate that. So last night, it was just such a fantastic Game 7, and what makes it so special is Cleveland went through all those years of misfortune, whether it was the shot, the drive, or the fumble. Then they get a fortunate play last night, which was just so unbelievable, and that was the block, or they're calling it Le Block. Listen up to your colleague Mike Breen last night as he called that sequence.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
Seth, as someone that's been around the game for so long like yourself, what goes through your head when you see that play develop?
It's just an incredible play. And you talk about, you always talk to your team about getting to the next play and taking no plays off. And that, it's all about one play could change the whole game. And that's what that play was all about. I mean, if you think about it, the best player in the world, all right, gets to the next play and makes that play. And, I love all these analytic guys, but the new analytic category needs to be rundowns because rundowns change the momentum of a game. And it just shows you how locked in LeBron was in the game, but also just the hardest playing, toughest team finds a way to win. And you can talk about Kyrie's shot, which was incredible, but that play exemplified everything that LeBron wanted to bring to Cleveland.
You mentioned that Kyrie shot, and there was a sequence down the stretch where neither team was making any baskets, and you had that LeBron block, and then you had a few Cavs misses, but then eventually Ty Lue calls a timeout, and I thought it was a brilliant timeout, Coach, and then you see the big Kyrie three. That's just a coach that really knows his team when you look back at it.
The basketball was really bad for about 4 or 5 minutes.
No doubt.
I mean, guys were throwing it to the wrong team. Guys were making bad decisions. Guys were not converting transition plays. Look, putting the ball in Kyrie's hands was a great move. But let's be honest. The guy made an incredible shot. You're talking about an inside-out, step-back, contested three, and he makes it. And that's how you win championships. He makes it. Golden State misses shots that maybe they usually make. But Kyrie Irving, the one thing about him, I think he's separated himself and kind of held a standard now is he can't be the guy that doesn't defend anymore. But more importantly, he can be the guy that it's got to be in the discussion for the best. I don't call them point guards anymore because I don't think there's a point guard in the NBA. I think it's ball guards, guys that can make plays, initiate offense, but you have to be able to score in the NBA. And I just look at that play and Kyrie Irving as a guy that made that play in the biggest time, and that was a tough shot. But that just shows you how good he is and the type of plays that he can make, moving forward.
You talk about turnovers down the stretch. Steph had a bunch of those turnovers, and hey, he was the unanimous MVP of the league, had 400-plus three-pointers, had a tremendous season, but people will remember this season for the way he performed in the finals. What did the Cavs do so well up against them?
I think there's a couple things. I think they met him early. I think they were physical. I think that Tristan Thompson is huge because Tristan Thompson, on all those switches, he could step up and keep him in front and defend him and contest the shot. where, if you think about the series before, he'd get in switches with bigs in Oklahoma City, and all of a sudden he would be able to create space, jump up, create some separation, and make shots. To me, it didn't look like Steph Curry was 100% healthy, but they wore him down. And the other thing they did was, and I don't understand this, because if I played against a player like Steph Curry, the thing I would most want to do, you've got to make him defend every play, and you've got to screen him. And what I mean by that is you've got to run him and bang him as many times as you can. And I thought that Cleveland did a really good job of screening him, creating the matchups that they wanted, and then attacking him. And, they got him in foul trouble. And people say, well, Steph didn't, foul during regular season. And Steph didn't get to the free throw line. Well, Steph doesn't get to the free throw line a ton. And number two is that, what Cleveland did is he couldn't hide, because once they got the switch they wanted, they went at him and made him have to make decisions defensively.
And that's why they play the games, really, because I thought this series was over after 2-0, heck, and especially after 3-1, I thought it was over. But LeBron, you got to give him all the credit in the world, and no one is going to criticize him at all. And I hope people start to appreciate the greatness that we're seeing from LeBron James, because too many people hate him for inane reasons. But I want to bring this point up to you. Draymond Green was sensational in Game 7. I thought they should have given the MVP to LeBron James, win or lose, but I guess if the Warriors would have won it, you could have made a case from him for the MVP. But on the other end, Seth, if he doesn't get suspended and then you don't have Klay Thompson with his comments after Game 5, that doesn't wake up LeBron either. So can you make the argument that if Draymond Green didn't get suspended, that this series would have went the Warriors' way?
You could make 100 arguments in so many different directions, and that's great. But the fact is that Draymond did get suspended, that Klay Thompson at that point and everyone else in the Golden State organization, why would you want to wake up LeBron James?
I don't know.
Why would you want to wake him up?
But they did.
He can physically dominate a game. And that was just, to me, it was a little bit of an immaturity on Golden State, one of the few mistakes they made. And, and he seized the moment. Yeah, Draymond, look, you lose momentum. When you lose a player, and the one thing no one's talking about, we're talking about Draymond's foul and the suspension. Losing Andrew Bogut was
big, really big.
It's really big. He's a great screener. He's a good passer from that high post. He's got enough physicality. He does enough things that help you win games. Losing Bogut, it's amazing to me. No one even is talking about it, and it was a huge loss for them.
We're talking to Seth Greenberg, who joins us right now from ESPN. Seth, let's get to the draft that comes up on Thursday. I want you to play the role of Brian Colangelo and fill in the blank to this sentence.
With the first pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select.
Who is it, Seth?
For me, it's Brandon Ingram. I go outside of the box. And again, I understand. Look, Ben Simmons. This whole draft, think about this. Everyone's looking for what? They're looking for the next Russell Westbrook. They're looking for the next Kevin Durant. They're looking for the next LeBron James. They're looking for the next Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, everyone's looking for the next. The one thing, and I love Simmons' game. And let's say you put Simmons on Duke this past year. Would our perception of Simmons be different?
I think so.
Totally different.
Because they make the tournament.
Well, they make the tournament. They're good. He's in a different environment. Everything isn't just all about him. He's nurtured. He's challenged. Let's face it, LSU this past season was dysfunctional. They were dysfunctional. It was almost like, and I don't just blame it on Coach Jones, it was almost like they played against Ben Simmons at times, which was unfortunate. They just didn't have a chemistry about him. Having said that, the thing that bothered me the most at the end of the season was that Ben Simmons seemed disinterested. Wherever he goes, he's going to lose a lot of games next year. All right? The risk of having a guy that is not interested, that is not engaged, is really bad for your culture. And that, combined with his inability to make shots, he can rebound it, yes. Everyone says, well, his shot looks good. Your shot looks good, but you got to be committed to it. You look at him in post-ups, he got pushed off the block some in college. He is not a good passer. He's a great passer. He doesn't have good vision. He has great vision in the half court, in transition. That's where he's going to be at his very best. On the other hand, I see Brandon Ingram, and I see in the new NBA, you've got to make shots. He's just over 18 years old. He's not going to be 19 until I think after the draft. Ingram, he can make shots. He's got length. He's the perfect blend, hybrid forward. With strength, he's going to get a little more explosive. I do think that he could be a very good defender. He's not a great defender now, but I think he could be a very good defender. And it comes down to shot making for me. You got to make shots, and I think that the league is a shot making league.
I think the Sixers are going to take Simmons. I heard Brett Brown talking this morning on a radio show, and I just have a feeling they will. Brown knows him his entire life because he coached his father overseas. If you could compare a player in the league from the past or currently that compares to Ben Simmons, who is it?
To me, everyone wants to say LeBron. I don't say LeBron. He's more Magic-esque than LeBron.
That's also a tough comparison to live up to.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't live up to it. But I mean, you ask me a question, so I got to give you an answer. Some people say Lamar Odom. Lamar Odom could shoot a little bit better, and I think this guy's ball skills and passing are far superior. I mean, his passing, Ben Simmons' passing is elite. Ben Simmons could be a very good defender also. And he can defend multiple positions. Look, they can't go wrong. Those are the two guys, and I'm a big Chris Dunn fan as the third guy. Those are the guys to me that, might, kind of transcend this draft. Dunn, because he's a guy that could guard the best, fastest, quickest, strongest, most explosive guards in the NBA. He's going to be able to guard the Westbrooks, the Currys, the guys, the Irvings. I mean, he's got the size, the length, the strength, the athleticism. After that, it's one big futures draft with some then mature players like the Buddy Hields and Murray. Even though he's young, he's got a maturity to his game. Denzel Valentine's got a maturity to his game. But people are talking about Jaylen Brown at the top of the lottery. They're talking about Marquise Chris at the top. I mean, those guys are ifs. They've got a chance to be really good, but they're still ifs. I mean, Chris, long, rangy, shoots it, doesn't rebound, not very mature, doesn't have, an understanding of the game yet. Murray, physically, can he be Draymond Green? Everyone thinks, well, maybe he can be the next Draymond Green. He doesn't have that basketball IQ. He doesn't have the feel. He doesn't have the skill. What he is an incredible specimen. He's a great kid who wants to get better, who's going to work his tail off. So, the draft has some depth to it. I'm not sure it's as good as people are. The depth, you might have second unit guys. I don't see the depth that maybe other people think towards the bottom of the draft, and that's where the Sixers have a bunch of picks.
There's a lot of thoughts going around Philadelphia that the Sixers would trade Okafor because they also have Embiid and Noel. Would that be a smart decision to trade Okafor now?
It all depends on if you think Embiid's going to be healthy, which he has not been. It's a little bit of a risk trading Okafor if all of a sudden Embiid gets hurt again. Then all of a sudden that could be disastrous. Okafor, we learned a great lesson from Cleveland, and from LeBron. LeBron's college experience was playing for the Heat. He learned what it was to be a winning player. He learned about culture and work ethic and preparation and what it's all about. If you take all these young players and put them on one roster, all right, you have no one to teach them how to be pros, how to be winning players, how to deal with, a long road trip, how to deal with back-to-backs, how to deal with, a losing streak. And that's the problem. So, I mean, if you're going to move Okafor, you better get a really good experienced player that has maturity, that can mentor your young players. But if you trade him, you better know that Embiid is going to be healthy. Because if you trade him and Embiid gets hurt again, you're really in a bad place.
The guy that I saw a lot of in college this year over at St. Joe's was DeAndre Bembry.
Love him.
How do you like how he projects in the NBA? So do I.
I do. I think he's just got such a good feel for now he's a guy that has a very high basketball IQ. He understands how to play. He's got good size. He's probably a poor man's Paul George, not as athletic, but I mean in terms of kind of versatility and size and feel and Doesn't score it like him, obviously. But I'm a big Bembry fan. I had a chance to watch him in Nike Skills Academy last year. I thought he was really, really good. He's kind of wired the right way, and he has got a great feel and a very, very high basketball IQ. Big Bembry fan. Like people talk about Beasley. Beasley's younger. He's a little more athletic, a little bit more elastic, but he doesn't have the feel, that a Bembry has. I'm a big Bembry fan.
How about
I'm a big Denzel Valentine fan, but I'm not sure the need is there.
How about Oshefu and Arcidiacono? How do they project in the NBA?
They're fit guys. McConnell played for the Sixers this past year. Is Arch that type of guy that, if someone needs a player like that who, but obviously a winning player, a tough kid, a guy with feel, a guy that has a little moxie to his game, he's going to have a chance. And Chef was really improved. You put him on that left block, and he was able to score at the end of the season. Look, those guys are going to be dependent on how they play in the summer league. I think Ochefu has a chance maybe to get drafted. I'm not sure about Arch. But, the good thing is it's almost better, if you're going to be way at the end of the draft, better not to get drafted and pick a team you can go to Summer League with and who has actually roster spots. Or go overseas and make money and have a career.
Wrapping up with Seth Greenberg, who joins us right now, college basketball analyst at ESPN, former college basketball coach. I got to throw a few Knicks questions at you. Jeff Hornacek is the new man. A lot of Knicks fans, I don't know if they're excited about that hire. I think they were just really excited that it wasn't Rambis. Are you a fan of Jeff Hornacek?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a good offensive coach. I think here's the problem with that is, every offense has elements of the triangle. All right, that's just the way it is. But it can't be who you are. You've got to fit your offense to your personnel, not your personnel to your offense. And name me one team besides the great Phil Jackson teams that have ever won with that as their primary offense. So you've got some good young players. Obviously, you got Carmelo. You're going to try to do something, whether get a pick or do something in free agency, but you can't be held hostage to an offense. The offense is dictated by your personnel, and I do think Hornacek is, from what I've seen when he was in Phoenix, he's a creative offensive guy who has a feel. Now, I just think it's hard to coach when you're told how you're going to coach your team. And, again, I'm not in their meetings, but if Phil Jackson's basically dictating who they are and how they're going to win, that's not a good thing for Red Auerbach, yet alone Jeff Hornacek. It's the way it is. And look, I was there when Willis walked in, last row of the Garden. So, I've been a Knick fan for life. And, it's painful to watch this team that at one point played the game as beautifully as it could be played that really has no identity in relation to today's NBA.
So let me ask you this then, since you are a Knicks fan. A lot of fans here, they're very negative about Carmelo. They don't trust Phil Jackson now. They don't trust Dolan, the owner. They never trusted him. Do you trust what the Knicks are doing right now?
Like Dolan, I don't know him, but it doesn't seem like, he doesn't seem like he's got a lot of money and he's powerful, but that dude just doesn't seem like he gets it. Just the way it is. Think about some of the decisions that he's made within the organization. Phil Jackson, obviously, he's a brilliant basketball guy, and they're paying him an obscene amount of money, and you're not going to fix anything, you don't fix stuff overnight. But I would like to see someone in that organization say, here is our plan. This is a 3-year plan. This is a 4-year plan. This is a 2-year plan. This is what we're trying to accomplish. This is our roadmap. I don't hear any of that from the Knicks. Like give us a roadmap of how you're trying to rebuild this franchise with this tradition, with this fan base in this city that just loves basketball. I see a game plan in Boston. I thought the game plan in Philly was a joke.
I agree.
I mean, that guy. I mean, that's an embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment.
But now you have Colangelo that comes in and he will expedite that process.
Yeah, they're going to have a plan. I mean, like, so you know, to me, you know, it's like taking over a job when you take a new job as a college guy. All right, you've got to clearly define and set a vision for your team of who you are and how you're going to win. And then you've got to have, within that, the steps it's going to take to get you where you want to go. It's any business, that's what you need to have. Have the Knicks laid out any plan on moving forward of who they are,
No.
how they're going to win, and the plan of achieving their goals?
No, they haven't.
All right? Well, you can't be an organization, any organization, in any business, and not have that type of plan. That's just me. Look, I don't have world championships. I couldn't even get my team into the NCAA tournament, winning at Duke and winning at Carolina. So what do I know? But, you know, to me, until you have that, you're basically it's almost like you got to have it's almost like trying to go from here to from Connecticut to Philly. You've never been there before. You don't have GPS. You don't have a map. And you're just getting in the car and driving.
Well, Seth, you're great on the show today. I appreciate the time. Hope you had a great Father's Day yesterday, and let's do it again real soon, my friend, all right?
You got it, pal.